you're talking to a Detroit Lions fan and trying to convince him that if your team is 13-3 with a quarterback that you don't think is the future, that's a bad thing. You're not going to convince me of that.
Oh, yeah, he's back. The Detroit Lions fan is here. That's right. Have no fear. Ahmed Fareed is here. What's up? Oh, I know. That was really good rhyming.
Good.
That's really good. I should write songs like you. What's up, everybody? Chris Sims Unbuttoned today. All right, we got a good one.
Yes.
We're going to be breaking down O-linemen. I know we got some recent news and stuff to talk about.
Things are happening.
Yeah, things are happening. There's trades and everything like that. And we're going to get to the big uglies. I'm going to rank the offensive linemen, which I think is one of the better position groups in the NFL draft this year.
Harder for you to do, though. You say it's very difficult.
Well, you got to watch a lot to get a feel and get a good observation.
There are some games where the guy just stands up and goes like this.
Well,
you're like, okay, I don't know what that was.
You can. I mean, you go through certain teams, the way they play football, things like that. Yeah. There are these spread offenses where you go, I just watched 70 snaps of a game, and this guy literally blocked somebody like 4 times, like at a 70, because it was screen, it was reverse, it was read option, and the guy just kind of took a little inside zone step, and you're going, damn, can I see some plays here to see what this guy has?
Then you go, how much does he weigh? And you're like, all right, number 3. All right, that's fine.
Good athlete,
big,
good feet, he's big, sounds good. Okay.
Good punch.
More importantly, did you watch Jeopardy last night?
I did not. I saw some clips.
Get out of here.
I'm not a big Jeopardy
fan. You're dead
fan.
to me.
No, I'm not a big Jeopardy fan.
You're supposed to be an Aaron Rodgers fan.
You know what's funny is we had a tweet that sent to us. That's true. About ranking our top 5 game show hosts of all time.
Yeah.
And I did do that, and we'll see if we have time at the end to get to it. But in making that list, I realized I really didn't watch a whole lot of Jeopardy. I know Alex Trebek, obviously, he was a great host.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a huge fan of the show. I wasn't smart enough. You know,
No.
It made me feel even less smart.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch it.
I know. That's why you don't want to host a show with me. You seem less smart when you sit next to me.
Exactly.
But I just got into it like the last year and a half.
How did he do?
He did great. He did. He really did.
Was he loose? Was he comfortable?
No,
or
he was
a
playing a little
uptight?
bit by the book, a little bit, but he was still good. There were still some funny moments and all of that. But I mean, for a guy that's never hosted a TV show in his life to do that, I mean, that's what people are missing. Like all these other people that have gone before him have hosted shows before. This is a guy that's only played quarterback. So, but I thought it was really good. I'm excited to see the rest of it.
What I like about that is it lives up to one of my favorite quotes. Be brave enough to suck at something new.
Yeah.
And that's what he did, right? Aaron Rodgers is like, that's a potential landmine right there, right? You can go out there, you look like an idiot.
No doubt.
What are you doing?
And he's doing the opposite. He's like, look at me. I should be the new Jeopardy host.
He
has really embraced it. I mean, he's making a strong push.
From what you saw, show 1, does he have the potential to be that host?
I think he definitely does have the potential. I do. I'm excited to see show 2 tonight just to see if he's a little more comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I said, the last year and a half, I don't know what it is. I got to 40. And I started going, damn, Jeopardy's good. I like this. And I have some nights where I'm like you, like really stupid watching, like where I'm like.
But now you've lived long enough to where some of this stuff has happened in your lifetime, maybe.
Some of the stuff, I'm just like, I don't even know what that question is, but I think I've heard it before, and I throw some word out there, and I'm right. It's fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah. The
Aztecs.
Watch
tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
after
all that, I'm probably not going to watch tonight. I was thinking if I had it in my schedule, I was like, should I watch? But I probably won't.
Do you have your schedule that laid out for the night? Do you know your schedule?
Yeah, and Jeopardy's not in it right now. We'll see if it changes. Okay, you're right. We do have a big show outside of the Jeopardy talk. We did have some news. We're going to get back in just to a couple things. We can never get away from it because it's interesting, and people are attacking you for your thoughts on the quarterbacks in this draft, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, so we got to get into that again.
Yeah, of course.
We'll get into the offensive lineman rankings. After that, time permitting, you got some questions on your edge rankings, got some questions on your cornerback rankings and defensive back rankings, so we got a lot to get to.
All right,
here.
let's get to it then.
So let's start with the big news that happened. Ask me anything on the Sam Darnold trade.
Yeah.
He is no longer a New York Jet.
Right.
He will not be seeing ghosts in New Jersey anymore unless he has a road game over there. He is going over to the Carolina Panthers. It was a couple of draft picks for next year, 2nd and a 4th, right?
Second and 4th in the 2022 draft. This year, they're just getting the 6th rounder.
Okay, and Carolina just kept adding more draft picks from what you hear. It's kind of like, oh, okay, all right, what about this? And finally they got to a point where the Jets said, okay, let's do it.
I got to see a chart, but I mean, I do think you lose value with the trade being 2 years from now, right? So basically, like them getting the second round, it's like it's
next year.
It's for next year.
Yeah.
It doesn't hold the same value as a second rounder this year.
Yeah.
So I think realistically, what they got to is a high second round type pick with all 3 picks combined when all said and done.
Vamsi Monangi says, can the Panthers now? We'll start with the Panthers angle.
Okay.
Make the playoffs with Sam as their quarterback.
Sam Darnold can definitely lead your team to the playoffs. I'm not going to doubt that. Again, anybody that's been listening to the pod or listen to me, I am a believer in Sam Darnold. I mean, I was the guy on here before we got into the quarterback evaluations going, I might think about keeping Sam Darnold and using that number 2 pick for something else or trading down or doing all that. That, of course, is until I saw Zach Wilson. But I still do believe in Sam Darnold. I mean, as we've talked about, there's never been great support or help with the New York Jets. And I think really this is the perfect place for him. I really do. I think it's an offense. It's very West Coast. It's Sean Payton. It's Joe Brady, the old offense coordinator from LSU with Joe Burrow, right? They want wheelers and dealers. That's what they want. And what I mean by that is, they're not looking for like Mahomes and Josh Allen and just, sit in the pocket and throw lasers all over the field. They want get back 5 steps in rhythm. Hey, we're going to design a play where, hey, McCaffrey's going to come out of the backfield and run a 5-yard out. We need you to make the right decision, throw it accurate. Boom. Next play. Hey, we got Robbie Anderson running a slant route on this side. We need you to, and on this side we have another concept. We need you to make a decision. Boom, throw an accurate ball because these guys are talented and they can run after the catch and do all of that. He's a wheeler and dealer that way. And he's great feet in the pocket. He's got a very quick release. And as I've said a million times, his intermediate throwing is his best thing. Anywhere from 5 to 20 yards, he is a strike thrower all the time. His weakness of his game is the deep ball. There's no doubt about that. But yes, now the rest of the team has to come along. Of course, they got young talent on defense. They're trying to help their O-line out and do that stuff. They got really 2 awesome receivers. So what I'm saying is I don't know if it happens this year, but I think sometime in the next 2 years, Carolina will certainly be flirting like real seriously with the playoffs.
So this is interesting for them now because I think a lot of people thought up to this point that number 8 pick, they have the 8th pick in the draft, right?
8th pick, right.
Is going towards a quarterback.
Right.
Candy in a Can asked me, he goes, hey, Ahmed, I'm a big fan of the pod, which, by the way, we got a lot of those.
Thanks, that's good.
Because we've encouraged that,
all I hear
right?
is attack.
We've encouraged that. We say if you say that at the top of your message, you get on the show.
Yes.
We're getting a lot of those now,
Yes.
so people have caught on. So we might need to
Big fan of the show. You guys suck, by the way.
Exactly. So we might need to make a different criteria for picking your question, but we do appreciate the love.
Yes.
He's said, I'm
We'll
a
take it.
big Panthers fan, a Cam fan. What position should the Panthers draft now? So that's interesting now, right? So that's a huge deal. You don't need to take the quarterback at 8 here. So, how can they bolster their team and get closer to the playoffs with that number 8?
So here, let's start with the quarterback thing just real quick here, because I find this interesting. I think this ties into the Sam Darnold talk we just talked about.
Okay.
They obviously looked at the current slate, what's available to be traded for, and then now where they're sitting at the draft.
Yeah.
And I would think, like me and others in the NFL, that they're thinking it's going to be Lawrence, Wilson, Mac Jones off the board, 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to mess with Fields and Trey Lance at 8. So they went with a guy where they go, wait, no, this is more the style that fits our offense and doing all that. I think that to me is one of the, under the radar aspects about this trade. The 2 guys that everybody, you can't say anything negative about Fields or Lance right now, or you just get eviscerated. It's like Tua last year. If you say something negative, you're an idiot. Get off the planet. And I don't understand that. I'm just talking about football, quarterback play, and that's all there is to it. But, I do think that's interesting. Just saying that, So other than that, now getting to Carolina. Carolina's team, I got to think, sitting there at 8. They don't need pass rushers, right? They got Brian Burns on one side. They drafted Yetur Gross-Matos in the 2nd round last year.
Yep.
They got Big Derek Brown in the middle. They got the damn Shaq Thompson at middle linebacker. I think Hassan Reddick's going to be standing up playing middle linebacker to go along with it.
They got some talent.
They do. They got the safety, from what the hell's his name? Jeremy Chin.
Yeah.
okay corners on the outside. They could probably improve that. I don't think that's top 10, though. Maybe Caleb Farley. I know.
That's what I'm thinking.
I know. That could be a possibility. Or they have a need at tackle. And that could be something we hit on here today, where I think there's 2 or 3 guys that are certainly in the conversation for top 10 offensive lineman picks. Yeah. And I think those are probably the 2 areas I look at more than anything. Tackle followed by corner.
Okay, so let's switch it over to the Jets before we get into who they're probably going to take. Project FX says, I am sad, Chris. The Jets really did Sam Darnold dirty. As a former quarterback, do you feel for him? Did they do him dirty?
Yes, they did him dirty. Not this regime right here, all right? The last regime, the regime that traded for him, they did him dirty. They never gave him a chance to succeed. So I think that's like where I look at it. I think this regime here, again, what Joe Douglas said yesterday in his statement, I don't know if you saw it, but he really gave him a big endorsement as far as like Sam Darnold. Because I think there's the sentiment in that building that he's a good player. You can win games with him.
Yeah.
You know, I think they liked him. And I don't think this was an easy decision where they were just like, we're trading him. We're drafting Zach Wilson.
They didn't give him away either.
They did not.
I mean, they waited
did
for
not
the
give
return
him
to
away.
be what they thought it was necessary.
Yeah, exactly right. So I look at the first regime as doing him dirty. You draft a guy at number 3 and you gave him no path to succeed. All right, and I know he hasn't been perfect. I'm not trying to like make up excuses for him there, but yeah, from that aspect, I do think they did him dirty, but I don't think Joe Douglas did. I don't. I think this is one of those where he's like, wait, I like this guy, but I love this guy coming out. Like, I love him. Sure. So let me just wait till I see his pro day and get to meet him a little bit more. Okay, wait, that pro day was awesome, and I like the guy too. Okay, now we can move on from Sam Darnold. I do love the guy. It's official. And I think that's ultimately what it came down to.
Humbaby11, are you content with what the Jets just got in return for Sam?
Definitely. 3 picks.
Yeah.
You know, I think that is more than generous. I think that was pretty damn good. I was wondering what they were going to get. You know, again, they were in the, pushed into the corner of it. Seems like you're going to take a quarterback at number 2. You know, we all know you might want to get rid of Sam Darnold. You know, how much do you think we're willing to give up for a guy that we know you're going to want to get rid of anyways?
Yeah.
So I do.
I wonder if there's another team that was pushing.
That's what I wonder too. The only team I can think of is Denver, and Denver would be that other team. I mean, I know Denver is looking to bring somebody in, not necessarily to be a starter, but to push Drew Lock, make him compete to earn the job. And then, of course, if Drew Lock has some moments like we saw last year where it's just too gunslinger and he's making dumb decisions, they can take him out and go with another guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how. I wonder the same thing. Or maybe just Carolina just said, wait, we like this guy. We're starting to lose options out here. We'd like to frame our team and start thinking about how we're going to plan for the draft and doing those type of things. So we'll give you the 1 extra pick or whatever it is to make sure we get our guy at quarterback.
We want the certainty here. We're not. I think we're not loving the quarterbacks we might get at 8. Let's get something that we know we're going to like. Last one here, and you kind of went into this with the Broncos.
Yeah.
Ashley Riddler says, "Ola from the UK.
What up?
Ahmed and Chris, the UK, London. We should go over there sometime.
I'm dying to.
We should do a world tour." Right, we're big in the Dominican Republic.
We
already know that.
First. We go there first.
We go over to the UK. I know we have listeners over there.
Yes.
I would love to do that.
Listen, I'm down.
Can we convince them to do that?
Well, can we get there on a weekend where there's like an NFL game?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And then, of course, they have to find a way to where we do pro football talk.
Yeah, okay.
Which would be great because it's going to be the afternoon there for an early morning thing here.
Perfect timing.
Right?
Yep.
So I'm down for that. So, I mean, come on, NBC. Pull some strings and get this done.
Pete, you can go too, so Pete will push for this whole thing.
Yep.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Pete
says he's in.
He's in.
He's got screaming kids in the background, so of course he's in. Ashley asks us, what's next for Teddy B? Trade to the Broncos? So maybe that is their situation in Denver.
I think that's a very real possibility. I think that fits the mold of exactly what we're talking about here. Like a guy that's, pretty good. He can push Drew Lock. I think they want Drew Lock to be the starter because he does some really special stuff from a talent standpoint. But here's Teddy Bridgewater. He's doing everything right, and he's in the film room, and he practices clean every day. That's going to make Drew Lock have to kind of meet that, match that bar or whatever. And then of course it does give the okay, Drew Lock's been crazy here the first 4 weeks, and we're 1-3. We got to make a decision. Okay, we got Teddy Bridgewater who's played football, certainly.
Yeah.
That to me is the one that jumps out. The other one that I'm just going to throw out there that I even said this on PFT today a little bit. Again, listen, I don't think anybody in the football world thinks the Russell Wilson leaving Seattle is a done thing yet. I think this will come down to the draft. To where
you think he still could?
I think he still could be possibly traded. I do. I don't think either one wants to deal with either one. And that, to me, if that shook out in some way, that could be a place I could see maybe Teddy Bridgewater, Pete Carroll going, hey, we'll run the ball and play defense and play a style of football he wants to play anyways. Unlikely, but I'm just going to throw that out there.
And Carolina would go, yeah, that's what we thought too. We were going to do that. But yeah, Teddy Bridgewater, middling starter, pretty high-level backup if you can get him as a backup on your team, right? I mean, we saw it with the New Orleans Saints.
Yes, he is that guy. Right. Yeah. I don't want him to be my starter. I would love for him to be my backup of my good football team.
Yeah.
Because then you're not going to miss anything. And, okay, we're a good football team that's going to be in the playoffs, and we're not going to fall out of the playoffs if he has to come in and save the day.
Yeah. All right, so we'll see what happens to Teddy B. We're going to get to our offensive line rankings in a second, but we got to talk about who everyone now thinks and has accepted that the Jets will take. It is Zach Wilson.
Oh, it is.
I was talking to this about you with you before the podcast. Yeah. Is that how quickly people's perceptions can change, right? Because I think, what was a couple months ago, no one's really talking about Zach Wilson, right? And then there's a little buzz. You come out and put him ahead of Trevor Lawrence, and that wakes people up. And then all of a sudden you start hearing other people, and like, yeah, he's really good. Yeah. He's right up there with him talent-wise. And so now there's your rankings if you're watching on YouTube. And now when the Jets get the number 2 pick, everyone's they're like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's Zach Wilson. Yeah. We're okay with that now. They've accepted the fact that you might be right on the elite level talent of this quarterback.
I hope so. I mean, they should be excited. I mean, again, it's Rodgers and Mahomes-ish type stuff I see with Zach Wilson. I think that's got to excite people. I think the other thing to where it becomes accepting right here, is, hey, listen, people, and some might think I'm an idiot, whatever. I think people that are respected in the business, I think even coaches in the NFL, enough is leaked out now to go like, wait, this guy is really good. Whether we think he's 1 or 2 or whatever, he's really good. And I think the other aspect of this is like, it's almost like the opposite of like Daniel Jones when he came to the New York Jets, where the Giants, excuse me, because when he came there, everybody was like, well, I don't get it. And there's a little my evaluation too. Like, there's no special about this. There's no highlight you see that's special. There's nothing on film you see that's like real special. And I think it's the opposite with this one, where even the most novice of football people is going to watch highlights of Zach Wilson and go, that looks like a really good throw, and that looks like a laser. And then, of course, there's the pro day to go along with that. So I think that's kind of silenced the haters of the world.
Well, we can't let you get too high.
Baby.
Silenced most of the haters, but you always have some pushback, right? We can't let it get too lopsided one direction.
I don't want it to.
So here's Davin Patterson.
What up,
Davin? He tweeted something to you. Why doesn't the lack of tape on Zach Wilson under pressure scare you? And Pete and Kristen, do we have a tweet that illustrates this fact a little bit more? This is Richard Johnson's tweet, and he says, me, I need some space, and she goes, her, how much? And then he goes, me, and it shows 4 pictures, if you're listening, of Zach Wilson throwing with absolutely nobody around him against, who is that, Boise State?
Yeah.
They're playing? So he's thrown from a clean pocket, has been under pressure very few times.
I guess. I don't know.
That doesn't impress you.
No, I mean, listen, I appreciate the question. I mean, we're going to take, 4 plays from one game. And yes, I understand the protection's really good. I promise you I could find 4 plays like this for Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones, who all have NFL offensive linemen on their team that way.
So you did see tape of Zach Wilson under pressure.
Plenty. It's the reason I loved him.
Yeah.
He doesn't need space to throw. He doesn't need space to throw. He can be like this with people around him, and he's, and it's, oh, whoom, or it's, oh, man, whoa. It's all that. He needs no space. He needs the least amount of space out of any quarterback in this draft. I'm 100% confident in that. He might have had the best protection in the draft. I don't know. Again, I don't care about stuff like that. I see enough to evaluate to go, woo, okay. Guy's got a quick release. He needs no room to throw the ball. He doesn't have to step into throws. He's got the most adjustable arm angles out of anybody we've seen come out in the draft since Patrick Mahomes. So all of those things, no. Again, I'm sure the protection was good. But again, let's not just take one snippet of something and just run with it.
Right.
The context does matter here. The East Carolina game, or not the East Carolina game, the Coastal Carolina game, I mean, that was his worst game. His worst game. He was under pressure constantly in that football game. He made phenomenal throws in that game. They had drops. They fumbled. He had an 80-yard touchdown called back. And they came 1 inch away in his off game from him throwing still, I would say, 5 or 6 of the best throws we saw in college football in that game. But yeah, again, no, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not worried about it. And to that, with his athleticism, his footwork, and everything like that, to me is all top notch. And now go ahead with your footwork question.
So there is a footwork question. You're right. And I will say that with that monster throw he threw at Pro Day that got everyone go, wow, what a throw. There was no one around him there. That was a super clean pocket. So another mark against him. Justin for Ocho says, You're right, here it is. You think Wilson has great feet in the pocket? ? Come on, Chris. This comment makes me question your Wilson film study that I was so on board with. So you've almost lost Justin for Ocho with your comment about his great feet.
Justin for Ocho. Okay, what don't you see that's great feet? Okay, what is it that you don't see? Again, maybe we have a difference in what we're thinking as far as footwork. I don't know. Listen, first off, his drops are very nice. He's got a good, quick, fast drop. Now, this is what I have a feeling we're getting into with footwork here. Okay, this is where I think the question's coming from. Because Wilson, like a Josh Allen or even a Mahomes or a Rodgers, right, they can get in the pocket and they can kind of just sit. Because they're so gifted throwing the ball, they'll just kind of be like calm and wait, right? They'll just be like this. So is he thinking that's a lack of footwork? I'm just asking, and I think that's what he means, right? As far as sliding and moving and, oh, boom, I got to do that, or, and I do this and throw the ball that way. There's nobody better in the draft. There's nobody. It's why everybody is saying he's, the number 2 pick to the Jets. It's all of those special things he does. So when I say footwork, again, it doesn't mean like, his drops are the prettiest or things like his drops are really damn good. Mac Jones probably has the prettiest drops as far as that's concerned. But the ability to react and make quick, explosive movements and then throw the ball like that from that standpoint, that's what I'm talking about with footwork. And then more times than not, when he's making a throw in a clean pocket, the feet are the same then too. And that, to me, is all stellar from Zach Wilson. Now, here's the one issue Zach Wilson has. Last thing. He has one issue in his whole game. And you even saw it in the pro day, just maybe 3 or 4 throws. When he pops and keeps this underneath him like that, it's laser beams, Mahomes, Rodgers fireworks show. Every now and then, he could sit like this, and this leg gets outside of the framework of his body.
Left leg, if you're listening.
Yeah, it's a left leg. It would be the right leg for a right-handed quarterback, right? So I know I'm backwards. But that back leg, when it gets outside the framework of his body, he can tend to go forward a little bit. And those are the balls you see that go low or might just die out on him a little bit. That is his worst thing he does. But when he gets that back leg and pops it underneath him, like you saw through the majority of the workout, or the majority of his throws on film during the year, it's freaking laser beams, number 2. Okay? So
and
I hope that answers that question.
Yes.
It does.
But it's funny. This is what people do, right? You try to find the thing that no one else has found, right? You even try to do that with tape. You're like, what is everyone else missing about this player? What could be the potential downfalls?
I don't try to do any of that, though. I just let it come to me and watch. And then as I start to see things that continue to happen where I go, wait, that's the 5th throw that's kind of gone low. Hey, let me go back and let me see those throws again. What is he doing here that's going to okay, yep, his foot's outside the framework of his body.
No, you're right.
That's right. So I don't look and try to go what is everybody else missing or doing that? I really don't. I just sit here, as you see, and I just write.
Which is the benefit, honestly, if you come in with more of a clean slate than probably anyone that evaluates draft prospects, right?
I hope.
Because you're not following the story from their freshman year to their junior year to their senior year and the ups and downs.
No.
You're just taking a look at the tape when it's all said and done and evaluating what it tells you.
And I've learned to stop listening to the masses.
Yeah.
Just because everybody says this guy's the guy in October. When I hear that, I almost just, I'm literally, I've gotten to the point in my life the last few years where I just go, we'll see. That's what I say. I go, I got to watch them. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. Because I was just told you should lose every game for Tua. Every game, you should lose them all.
Tank for Tua.
Because then when you get them, you'll never lose again. And then Sam Darnold. Oh, that's right. He just got traded to a new team. When we got Sam Darnold, we're never going to lose again.
Well, even Tua this year, people are like, are they happy with Tua? Might they go quarterback in the top 10?
Let's not always buy into like what the masses are saying. It doesn't mean they're always right. I mean, sometimes they are, but I'm not just saying like we don't have to buy into it all the time.
Yeah. Well, the masses are mad at you for another reason, though.
What's that?
I'm trying to. This is not. You've gotten a lot of love for Zach Wilson, so we need to push back on you.
What is it?
I follow a lot of people in San Francisco because I worked out there for 6 years.
Yeah, right.
And when you first suggested Mac Jones over there, they almost had a meltdown, like a utter meltdown over the idea that Mac Jones somehow is the number 3 player in this NFL draft. And Pill Dragon sums it up here. He goes, why is Mac Jones at 3 the right pick? At number 3, don't you want a guy who has the potential to be a superstar over the safe pick? Seems like Justin Fields has all the traits to become a superstar with the right situation. San Francisco is the perfect situation to maximize his talent. They are all over you because, and this is, I feel like a lot of people have this opinion. Justin Fields could be special. Right. Where Mac Jones is just like, you know what you're going to get.
Right. Well, okay. So I think there's a lot to this. The first thing is, yes, Fields has some really special attributes. There's no doubt about it. He could be elite. He could be a bust in my eyes, for sure. He could definitely be a bust. Like, there's no doubt about it. So you don't pick that guy at number 3. All right? There's that issues. Listen, I understand, and a lot of what he could bring to the table, if it all works right, it could be really, really special. We know he's got a strong arm, and at the very least, we know he's a really, really special athlete. And even if, on a rookie year, if you got him there, you could kind of rely on the run game and creative stuff, like do all of that, right? But Mac Jones, first off, you're disrespecting his talent, which is I don't understand. Like, it's not even close between him and Tua, but everyone was fine with Tua being the number 1 pick last year. And I would just tell you, it's disgraceful. It's Mac Jones' film is so much better than Tua, but that's where I don't understand it. So we just can't, and this goes back to the whole thing of like, I guess it's the way he looks. I don't understand. It's the hardest schedule in the history of college football. Just dominates everybody. The statistics are the best in the history of football. I mean, the throws into tight windows, anything, it's all good. The way he works the pocket, everything like that. Fields is really good, there's no doubt. But there is some games of really average. And you go, wait, I don't know. And I don't think we're going to be able to run the ball with the quarterback all the time in every game against every team.
We saw that with Cam Newton, right?
We ran into issues with Lamar Jackson. We went into the year this year. Can they win a playoff game if they can't run the ball? Are they going to be able to win a playoff game? I mean, it's the best player in football we're talking about that way. I mean, he was the MVP 2 years ago. So so there's something to that. And then, like, I guess the other part of this is I hear this too with like people going, well, see, what you're saying with them taking Mac Jones is he needs the Shanahan system to help him, and Fields doesn't. Like, that is such a crazy thought. I've seen people tweet that, and I've heard people say it on TV. It's like, you're admitting he needs the system help, and Fields does. Who said that? What? Because you said that? That's true? How about maybe Fields can't take advantage of all the pass game schemes that Mac Jones could in the Shanahan offense? Maybe you got to look at it that way, too. Don't just make one point to go, okay. Like, if you're going to be a good evaluator, you got to make the point to both sides. That's how you're going to come up to the best evaluation. You can't make one point and go, that made me feel good about my point. I'm good. I don't want to look at the other side of this conversation now. Yeah. I'm good. Now, this is a problem in our country. I've been told what I want to hear. Let me walk away.
I've made up my mind.
you, everybody else, you're wrong.
Well, we don't like to reevaluate. We like to get stuff done and then move on to the
I
next
know.
thing,
Well, so
you know?
so you have to look at it from that aspect too. There was another part of that question. Can you read it one more time just so I can go back to it?
Seems like the perfect fit, has all the traits to become a superstar in the right position. And a lot of people, like Jax Lee 101, has compared, sees people comparing Justin Fields to a player like Deshaun Watson on the field and say that he has similar talent. And Kyle said in the past, oh, we'd love to have a player that can just make stuff happen and improvise.
I know, but see, all right, so it's great. You're right. He said that about Josh Allen this year and all that type of stuff. I know. This is not Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's throwing and ability to, like, you know, read coverages and go to the right place with the football and all that was at a much higher level than Justin Fields. A much higher level. The only question there was about Deshaun Watson coming out in the draft was, I wish he would just throw a few more rifles. You know, Clemson, they were open so much and the game was easy that he threw kind of like his 85% throw out there all the time. And you're kind of like, can he squeeze it into tight windows? Yeah. And so that was the evaluation with him, where you had to go through certain games and go, wait, there's a 20-yard out. That's a rifle. Okay, he can do it. Okay, wait. Here's a 20-yard in, goes tight. Okay, he can do it. All right. I wasn't sure. You don't get to see it a whole lot. All those type of things. So to compare those two, to me, is not fair. That is not. There's more issues in Fields' game. He might be a better actual physical running specimen in that way, but the throwing aspect and playing the position is clean is not on Deshaun Watson's level.
Pete brings up a good point about upside, and you always want the upside, right? You want the high ceiling.
Right.
And it's interesting, people think like Fields, what you can do with him on the field has the higher ceiling. And who knows? I mean, if he can get his throwing in order and fix some of those things, I mean, maybe that is the case. But it is interesting, like Mac Jones, they always talk about his body. I mean, isn't that the definition of a moldable? Like, doesn't it seem possible that Mac Jones, whatever you don't like about his body now, could change?
Could morph, right? Like Tom Brady did? Or
exactly.
Like, I know
right? Like, could he not get in the weight room in a different way, or with NFL trainers become a different type of body? Because he honestly is not slow, right? He ran the 40 under 5, well under 5 seconds.
He ran 4.8, low 4.8, I believe. Yeah. I mean, so
that seems like upside to me. You got a dad bod out there that's still crushing it.
Well, yeah, I know. Listen, it's an awkward body. And he doesn't wear his clothes cool. That's the other aspect of it too. He's like kind of like Johnny 1968 quarterback with the way he wears his uniform and everything that way. And I really think that's a big part of like why people can't get behind this. And they're losing the eye of what is actually there on film.
Well, yes.
So, yes, he doesn't have the elite. I said this last week to Paul. He doesn't have the elite physical traits where you're going to go to a certain workout and just go, oh, my gosh, this is amazing. No. Holy cow. But you're going to go, wow, he's got good feet. Whoa, he's always in perfect position. Wow, every ball's right underneath the guy's chin. Whoa, it's a perfect spiral. Oh, great touch. Oh, you know, he dropped his arm just a little there and threw a 12-yard perfect out route. You know, it's going to be all of that stuff that people look at, and then you watch the film and how he plays the position to why he's elite. It's not going to be about pure, raw, explosive arm like Zach Wilson or pure, raw, just incredible Adonis athlete like Justin Fields. No, it's not going to be the same way with Mac Jones.
And he, much like Trevor Lawrence, was anchored to his preseason ranking of being a generational talent, and people are having a hard time getting away from
It's the same thing. He was a number one recruit.
Yeah,
all those
Mac
things.
Jones is anchored to being, you know, just a guy, kind of.
I know.
It's like he impressed people this year, and they moved him up the rankings, but it's like you can't move him up but so high and not feel like you're a total idiot a month ago by not even having
It's
him in
how
the
it
top
translates
20.
to the NFL game. It's how it translates to that. Justin Fields, he translates to the NFL game, but you're going to have to play a certain way with him. Mac Jones can play the position from any offense other than Lamar Jackson and do everything you want and get in and out of huddles and checks plays, let alone is going to make the right read and make one great throw after another. And that's the value in what people are seeing in Mac Jones.
Last thing, and then we're going to go to our offensive line rankings. Colin Kindgren says, people say Justin Fields doesn't go through progressions well. So what do you say about PFF's grading system? They have him as the best quarterback on throws past his first read. So if you're watching on YouTube, here's the tweet. It's up there. PFF grade on throws past their first read since 2019. They got Fields 1. They got Zach Wilson 2. They got Trey Lance 3. And then they got ... Trevor Lawrence is 7. Mac Jones is 8.
There's too much gray area in these kind of things right here. There's too many things I can bring up to just go, I mean, first off, I don't know. Do they always know what the second read is? I don't know if they do. Second thing is, like, if it's just a 1 or a 2 read play, okay, whoop-de-doo. You know, I mean, Trey Lance, I can look up there. A lot of the plays are play action. He looks deep to one guy, and if that guy's not open, he throws to a hitch route here. That, to me, is not like, oh, my gosh, this is high-level reading of the defense, right? You know, so there's a lot that goes into that. I know Justin Fields is going to be able to process the information and do all those things. It's just one of those things, again, too, where, no, it does not pop off. There's too many negative plays like that, you know, within it. And then, what I want to do is, like, how many times was the second read open and he didn't throw it, or he ran, or did those type of things? See, there's too many things that you could question about just a blanket number statement like that. Yeah. And that's where, again, PFF has great value, and I listen to it and always take it into account, but it's not the end-all, be-all there. And there is too many plays. There's plays where I look at and go, oh, he got to the second read and threw the ball, and that was a bad decision. He completed it, but it was bad. It's going to get picked off in the NFL. That was not a good decision, even though he might have thrown a touchdown.
Or he shouldn't have come off the first read so
Or the
fast.
first read. So there's so many things that can go into that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and Pete brings up the fact that you might have a scrambling quarterback that can get out of the pocket, go to a second or third read, and maybe that's not going to be available to them in the NFL.
Well, exactly. There's no, and that, yes, feeds into that too. Oh, the first guy's not there. Let me run and do that. Oh, now I found the second guy. Oh, great, look, he found the second guy. Well, not within the way we're talking about it. Yeah. We're talking about going through it in the pocket and making the decisions that way.
All good points. We had to throw some haters at you.
Yeah, it's good. It's good combo. Listen, I don't know. You know, Justin Fields, I like I've said from the start, I like a lot between him and Trey Lance. I know everyone thinks I'm trying to be here. I love Kellen Mond. I still go, he's a first-round quarterback. You're never going to hear me back off of that. It's one elite throw, great decision, elite arm power after another. It's just one great one after another. You know, but he doesn't have the hype, so he's just not going to get there. He's going to end up going to the top of the second or something like that. These other guys, they have a lot of things I love. They just have some questions as far as what I see on film that I just can't 100% get behind it and just go, they're the man, they're awesome, like I have with Mahomes or Josh Allen or Zach Wilson. And again, I'm not trying to be a hater on them. I hope they prove me wrong, and I'll be the first one to say they did prove me wrong when they do.
Speaking of what you see on film, it is time for our prospect rundown presented by Applebee's. It is time for the Chris Sims 2021 Draft Offensive Line Rankings. You got your notes there.
I got them all over the place here.
You say it's difficult, so
it's a good group.
It is a good group.
Good group.
Versatile group.
Yes.
So the first question Pete has in here is, like, when you're scouting the offensive lineman, what separates a guy you see as a potential star tackle in the NFL, a guard, maybe a center?
Right.
What are you looking at?
Yeah, well, you know, tackle's, to me, a different human being. That to me is like, whoa, who's that guy that just walks through the door? Guards are like, damn, that guy's powerful and strong. Tackles are like, whoa, is he human? Is that real? Like, is that really, do they make humans that big? That's a special type of human being. Yeah. You know, and tackles, it's a real rare combination of being athletic and, of course, being able to move your feet to pass protect against the Von Millers of the world, but also being able to take, you know, the power of, you know, a guy like Cameron Jordan down there with the Saints, who's coming at you at 290 off the edge and can move, and he's going to smash his forehead into your chest. What are you going to do then? So it has to be that rare blend where guards are not necessarily going to be that big, not going to have the length of the arms the same way as the tackles, maybe a hair more athletic as far as, you know, getting off the ball, getting to the second level, running straight away, better in space, adjusting to blockers if they're a pulling guard or things like that. That, to me, is, I guess, the base level differences of what you're looking at here.
All right, so let's check how you did last year.
Okay.
You got your top 5 rankings last year. You had Jedrick Wills, number 1 there, who had a pretty good year.
He had a solid year. Becton really was the one that popped.
You thought.
Becton was the guy where I would go, if I could do it again, he would have been my number one.
Okay.
Because he really showed the ability to be dominant. Like, I think there was
over Wirfs, because Wirfs was pretty dominant.
Well, we'll get to him too. Wirfs was really, really. Becton didn't get to play because he had the injuries and all that.
Yeah.
But I just think when I saw the upside of everything, I went, "Whoa, Becton's special."
If you're just listening, Jedrick Wills number 1, Mekhi Becton 2, Andrew Thomas 3, Tristan Wirfs 4, Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan 5.
Right. Ruiz came in handy for the Saints, playing some center and guard for them this year. He was a good player. Wirfs is the one I got wrong, right? I'm not. This is where I've self-scouted myself. Because I've made this mistake, I think, I'm going to say a few times over the last 5 or 6 years evaluating offensive linemen. Wirfs, I came away, if you remember last year, right, just going, I don't know if his feet are fast enough to play tackle, right? I had that worry. Saw a few plays of guys just making him, making him miss or him taking a wrong step, and it worried me a little bit. Obviously, I was wrong. I mean, he was one of the better pass-protecting right tackles in all of football, I think, let alone rookies. But this is one thing I've made a mental note not to do this year. Don't get so infatuated with footwork and things like that. Don't. It doesn't always have to be like the greatest feat in the history of the sport to be a really good tackle. I've made that. Jermaine Ifedi, Ogbuehi, some of those tackles through the years where I went, oh my gosh, their feet are unbelievable. And you know what? First time they got power rushed in the NFL, they were in row 2 and got pushed back. So it was like, whoa, great, they can move their feet, but they can't stop a 270-pound guy from running right through them and stopping the quarterback. I need to put more value on that aspect. That, to me, is where you miss out. Trent Brown, he wasn't winning the footwork competition coming out of the draft, right? Orlando Brown Jr., I mean, they weren't winning. Orlando Brown Jr. fell because of he ran this horrible 40 time and his feet are a little slow. Again, as long as it's pretty good with these giant men, okay, it's Von Miller. I might not be able to match him footwork, step for step, but I'm still quick enough and big enough of a human being that it's not going to be that easy to get around me. And I have long arms and I'm really powerful. So even if he does get on the edge of me, okay, and he's kind of beating me with the speed, and now he went that way and 7 yards behind the quarterback. And that, to me, is something I feel like I've misevaluated over the years with tackles, and I'm not going to make that mistake this year.
Don't be too hard on yourself because, Andrew Thomas was the first tackle off the board, number 4 overall. He had a little middling season for the Giants.
He did not start off good, that's for sure.
I think a lot of years the tackles have been taken early because you know what you're going to get, or at least that's the idea, right?
Sure.
It's like it's a safe pick.
Right.
You need these guys.
They're
crucial.
Right.
And we think that what we see on tape will translate to the NFL, so we'll take them high. It's a safe pick. Is it still that way? Are we still sure that the guys that we're looking at now are going to be studs in the NFL, at least starters?
Yeah, I do. I think, again, you have to blend things together about the size, the athleticism, the strength of the guy, the arm length, the people he's played against. All of those type of things are, of course, part of the balancing act of evaluating these guys the right way.
Right.
And as long as the technical aspect of their game isn't too crazy, listen, there's going to be some guys we talk about here later on where I'm going to go, I mean, he's really got all the physical tools, but he's just got some technique issues that's going to scare teams, or they're going to I don't know. It might take us a little while to coach that out of him. Or, I don't know, maybe he's not, smart enough or work hard enough to get the details of those techniques down. I don't know. That's what they're going to have to evaluate with some of those. But it's just such an important position in the league. There's so many different types of freaks coming off the edge in the NFL. And you do need these guys. And in this draft, I found there to be, I thought it was a pretty good group. To me, so far, them and receivers are the 2 deepest groups I've found, to where there's a lot of year 1 starters in the group. Not necessarily going to say they're all first-round talents, but guys you look in second, third round, you go, he could start at guard for them in a year. He could be here and start and blah, blah, blah. I thought that's where it was really a good group.
It turned out to be pretty deep, or at least there was some value later in the draft last year with Michael Onwenu for the Patriots. That's a 6th-round pick. He was one of the better offensive linemen, not just rookies out there.
Yes.
Damian Lewis for Seattle.
Yep, the guard from
third-round
LSU.
pick. So
right.
he was pretty good. So there were some good finds later, but you think these guys will go off the board early in 2021. You got 6, right?
I got 6 that I think are all
first rounders.
First rounders. I do. I think they're all. And listen, really, honestly, we'll talk about after we get to the 6, there's probably 2 other guys. There's one guy for sure who's a first-round talent, but he hasn't played football in 2 years. His film might be the best of everybody, but I don't know how people are going to feel like that. I'll just throw it out there
Walker
right now.
Little,
Walker
right?
Little.
Yeah.
Walker
Stanford.
Little, Stanford, opted out last year. The year before, he only played 1 game because he tore his ACL the first game of the year. Like, his body and film and everything like that is top 20 pick in the NFL draft. It's hard to know how a team's going to feel about him, and maybe I should have put him in my top 6 just from that alone, because it is a special player. But I guess what I'm putting is I'm putting an asterisk next to him.
You don't want to be graded poorly if he comes out and pops. Yeah, he was a 5-star recruit out of Texas, was the #1 recruit in the country according to 24/7 Sports, but yeah, hasn't played. Had a knee injury week 1 of 2019 and hasn't played since then.
Hasn't played. I mean, he is Nate Solder, like of the Patriots.
Yeah.
Like in his prime, not coming out in the draft, like where it was like, wait, this is Nate Solder protecting Brady, who never gets hit, and all that. Like, he is that kind of build and body, and it's really impressive. But it's 3 years ago when you watched him play football.
So he is the wild card that Chris wants to get credit for still if he pops this coming
That's
season.
right.
So
Covering
Walker
my
Little
ass.
is that guy. Number 6 in the Chris Sims 2021 offensive line NFL draft rankings is Teven Jenkins, Oklahoma State.
Big old boy. Big old boy. Big country. I just feel like I got to call him that. I don't know why. It just seems like that would be his nickname. Of course, Big Country. Remember him, the basketball player?
Oh, I do remember him.
Went to Oklahoma State.
He was a fun guy
Right,
to watch.
yeah, right. Big country. Power, brute, strength, all of those type of things. You know, the big question about this guy more than anything is, can he play tackle? You know, the arm length is a little scary. I think that's the biggest negative about the guy as far as tackle is concerned. But here's what I like about him. I mean, first off, like I said, it's a big dude. It's 320 plus pounds, all right? And, you know, one of the things I like just right off the bat was some of the issues I saw with him early in the year. You know, he got better as the year went along, where I went, oh, this guy works at it. He understands what his weaknesses were, and he got really better at all of that. He's not like going to wow you with athletic ability. Out of a lot of the guys we're talking about, really, this is the least athletic guy out of everybody. But when it comes to mirroring pass rushers, moving his feet that way for a big guy, I mean, man, he really moves his feet well. And then the other thing, again, like you heard me say earlier, you know, his ability to handle the power rush, speed to power, or just plain old power, to me is up there with the top guys in the draft. That's where I really like him. So, got an attitude. I mean, wants to pummel you, wants to drive you through the ground and then step on you after he's driven you through the ground. I love that attitude about that, you know, but his pass blocking, I think, is really what is special. And like I said, the foot and then the feet, and then the biggest thing is just the ability to anchor, to really stop people in their tracks and not get pushed back another foot, to keep the pocket clean for the quarterback. You know, again, I think is a very, very special aspect of his game. Now, where it gets hard with him a little bit is arm length is important at this position. It really is. It's rare that you see a really good tackle that doesn't have long arms. You know, again, to stop all these guys in the world, you know, this part of stopping them when they're running at you full speed at 280 pounds is a big aspect of, getting him, slowing that momentum. And now he's not so close into my body because my arms are so long that he can't pull me and grab me and throw me around, right? That's why you want the long arms at the position.
Does that mean he would be a guard maybe? Or would it be hard to play any position with short arms?
No, guard. He could definitely play guard. He is a road grader guard. And he really, like, to me, this is a little bit like, you remember Andrus Peat coming out of Stanford a few years ago? Stanford plays for the New Orleans Saints. He did tackle stuff in college and all of that stuff too. But that to me is a little bit of what the guy is altogether. He needs work in the run game. He played in the Big 12. They ran the ball 4 times the whole season. You know, I mean, you know how that goes.
Yeah.
So there's some rawness to all of that. But I just think when you talk about the strength, the size, and the footwork being more than adequate to be able to be a pass protector as a tackle, I think he can do it, even with the shorter arms. I really do. But nonetheless, you're going to get a big, powerful guard that's going to start for your team for a long time.
Some concerns with him is that he's already 23 years old.
Yep.
The competition in the Big 12.
That's, of course, a problem.
They don't play defense there. They refuse.
No,
They would rather,
and there's no
real
real legit pass rushers. I mean, the one you're going to see is Perkins from Oklahoma, and I would argue that he's a stand-up linebacker. He's not going to be a pass rusher in the NFL. You know, so yes, those are things to worry about. There's no doubt about that. And, you know, at times can be a little bit lazy with his feet, can lean on people, stop his feet, lets people fall off him that way. But, you know, in pass pro, the thing I really liked about him, even though he has the shorter arms, he attacked. You know, he didn't let them, like, gain momentum and, you know, get up all your speed so you can hit me as hard as you can.
Yeah.
He'd kind of make sure he met them halfway or was going to throw those hands out right and kind of smush that momentum they had.
Yeah.
But either way, I think the guy's a fringe first rounder, somewhere in that range. Reminds me of, like I said, a lot of like a lesser Jack Conklin, who just signed the big contract with the Browns.
Yeah.
He's that way, except Conklin had really long arms. And that's where I'm just not quite sure about the guy. But either way, he's a starting offensive lineman for a long time.
He seemed to get better each of his 3 years, is what people say. In college, well respected by his teammates, shared the 2019 Thurman Thomas Award as the best offensive player for Oklahoma State. He is number 6 in your rankings. Number 5, we go to the Big Ten. And this is maybe a little bit of a surprise because I think a lot of people have this guy as the number 2 offensive lineman off the board. You have him as 5. Rashawn Slater.
I know.
Northwestern.
Listen, he's one of the harder evals for me. I like Rashawn Slater. I do. I like all these guys. I want that to be known here. I really do.
They're in your top 6.
Yeah, this is a good group. And there's a lot that I like about Rashawn Slater. I mean, first off, like compared to Teven Jenkins, he's a much greater athlete. This is one of the greater athletes at the position in the draft. There's no doubt about that. You know, his ability to run, get up to the second level, do all of those things are really, really damn good. You know, strength as a blocker altogether, really good. Maybe not as impressive as some of the other top guys we're going to talk about, you know, but there's real like twitch and get off to the athlete overall. So that's what I do love about the guy. You know, you know, of course, wins a lot of battles as far as like getting off the ball and doing all of that stuff, but like can get high at times, I thought, with just like someone in front of him. You got to dig him out and move him and do that stuff. And he can stop the drive of his legs on contact, you know, so that's where there's some negatives when you talk about that. And then you get back into, yes, the feet are great and all of those things. But the anchor and long arms are a concern for me with Slater. Slater is a guy that I came away, and listen, I know that you're about to ask me about the Chase Young game.
Yes.
That's all everybody wants to talk about with Slater is the Chase Young game. The Chase Young game.
Yeah.
The Chase Young game. I
Yeah,
get
do
it.
you want me to ask you about it?
Well, not yet.
Okay, all right,
But that you know, as a whole, I do look at Slater as a guy that I feel like can less play tackle than Teven Jenkins. I think he is more of a true guard this way. I do. You know, and I like his ability and his athleticism and all that. You know, and despite the Chase Young game and all that, there's a few too many other games where I do see him get pushed back at the tackle position. And I just go, well, they're only going to get bigger and stronger in the NFL, and that worries me just a little bit. Again, this is a starting guard. Maybe he can do the tackle position. I just don't think it's a big enough human being to play tackle in the NFL. If you're going to be this size at 304 pounds,
yeah,
then you need to have like incredible arm length. All right?
And he does not.
He
really.
does not.
We're looking on YouTube right now, 33 inches, 13th percentile. He's strong, though. His bench press is in the 96th percentile.
Definitely.
40-yard dash, very quick.
Really quick.
97th
I mean, getting to
percentile.
his straight ahead running, like as far as, you know, pulling, or if he's got nobody over him and he's got to get to the linebacker, right, who's over there, whatever, he's probably the fastest out of anybody. And I mean, the times probably tell us that as compared to everybody else.
Right. So you were not impressed, it doesn't sound like, with the Chase Young game.
I was.
Eberflus1 says, when scouting Rashawn Slater, how much do you take into account his good performance against Chase Young in college?
It's good. It is good. You know, I don't say, but like, I think if you go back and watch the game in full, you go like, there's 4 plays. It's like 4 or 5 plays where it's like legitimate, like NFL off the edge, pass rush, we're actually going to drop back and take a 5-step drop, and then quarterback's going to throw the ball in the pocket type of throws. It's very few that way. And to that fact, like, you know, I'll say Chase Young, his speed to power is not special at this point. He was more just speed and hands and doing that type of stuff.
Chase Young in
Chase
2019.
Young. And so it's a little bit, it was a good matchup to me for what I would say for Rashawn Slater that way. It's the right matchup for him, okay? I know I'm going to sound like a little bit of a hater that way.
You still got him in your top 6.
But I still really good, and I understand that. I guess I'm just not sure if he is a tackle, and I guess I just don't like the overall look of the guy. To me, this is one of the tougher evals of all the ones I have. I'm admitting that right now. I'm admitting it right now. I just want to make sure I got all the...
His father played in the NBA for 8 seasons, Reggie Slater. He's a power forward.
Wow.
Do you want to change your eval now?
No, I don't. I'm surprised his arms aren't longer with his dad being an NBA player.
True.
But, yeah, I think that was, you know, I think really what I came down to, and here's just some of the things I wrote down, you know, at the end. You know, of course, I get off the ball well. Upon contact, I did find that he loses his driving of the legs at times. He can get a little too high, right? Pass feet, really good. He's a little raw still. Doesn't know how to punch or use his arms or hands to stop pass rushers all that well. I thought that was one thing. And again, I don't know if that's really going to be any better in the NFL that way. Feet, of course, are really good, you know. But I wrote anchor is a little bit of a question for me. And because he plays high as well and not being a big guy, yeah, you rarely get to see him on an island, like at times against legit pass rushers just coming off the edge, flying that way. And that to me was the big question. It's damn good. He's a first-round tackle. I wrote arm length will be the question, but the kid can play guard too. There's no doubt about that. You know, so we'll see. But like I said, I just wasn't as in love with him as everybody else was.
He didn't play in 2020, so he didn't have an opportunity to impress you with more tape this past year, but will be drafted somewhere, perhaps in the first round, according to Chris here in 2020.
Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, like you said, it sounds like I'm lower on him than most as far as where he goes.
You're a little bit higher on your number 4 prospect, and he went to USC, and his name is Alijah Vera-Tucker, number 4 in your rankings.
I mean, I loved Alijah Vera-Tucker. You know, first off, like we're talking about with the other guys, Teven, Jenkins, Slater, either one, there's, of course, that guard possibility, right? I understand that. So he has all that. And let me get to my page here because let me just make sure I got it here.
Let me see. He's a Bishop O'Dowd guy from Oakland. I lived out close to there.
Is that right?
Played defensive end and tackle as a 4-star recruit coming out of high school.
Page?
According to Pro Football Focus,
yes,
he allowed just 2 pressures in his first 5 games this past year. I'm just kind of buying time.
You're great. I'm actually listening. Just keep going. No, but okay. So here
he played guard in 2019, tackle in 2020.
I saw him play guard in 2019. You know, when I was working the Notre Dame NBC games, and I remember just sitting there going, "Man, this guy's an NFL guard." Yeah. You know, I at no point questioned that. The thing is, and this is where again I'm putting him in front of Jenkins and Slater. I think he can play tackle. Now he's got a little bit of the same questions as far as, you know, arm length are concerned. But as a pure pass rush, a pure pass protector, I thought there was really only one guy that I would clearly say was better than him as a pure pass protector in this draft. And we haven't got to him, so I'm not going to say it yet.
Yeah.
All right? But to me, he was the most natural pass blocker of this group. All right? And really, athletically, there's nothing he can't do. He's got a phenomenal body. I mean, I love his legs, the thickness of the man, the human all together. Now, I don't know what he ended up weighing at his pro day, Pete, and maybe you could tell me. You know, I think he's around 315 pounds. Maybe he was a little lighter than that. But, man, you talk about, again, a guy with good feet, the ability to anchor, as you can tell, is my theme here, all right? That's my theme. Yeah. Well, what are you going to do when big people are bearing down on you at full speed to push you back? So 308 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, the arm length is definitely not ideal. That's scary.
32 inches, that's the 3rd percentile. But like what we saw with Slater, strong, bench press is up there, not as quick in the 40, but still up there in vertical jump. He can get up.
He's
athletic.
He is real. I think as an overall athlete, moving in space, getting to the second level, straight ahead running, all of those things, he's probably the best in the draft when you take in consideration all of it. All right. And then I think like the other thing that I love about him is his hips on contact, right? Like this is big in the offensive line world. And you'll see these drills sometimes, but like the ability to get from this position and you got somebody in front of you to come off and now get like that drive through, right? To where you're in a power position, like you're pushing the sled and doing all that.
Yep.
He's as good as I've seen anybody as far as digging people out and then just dominating them and continuing that leg drive. To me, that's really where it's good. And again, here where I'll get away into the left tackle conversation or the tackle conversation, we know the feet are good, but like uses his hands really well. Never let the pass rushers get into his body. Was great at making that first contact and stopping him that way. And then he could drop his ass and stop people from that power rush to where, okay, wait, they hit me. And he could kind of just drop it. And with his big legs and his upper body strength, he could handle it all. So it's one of the best pure pass protectors in the whole draft for me. It's, again, the big question. It's just whether he can play left tackle in the NFL.
So we don't have the big people movers. Are your top 3 people movers, do you think? Are they more in that mold? Or are we seeing a trend here with this whole class where they're kind of tweeners, tackle guard, athletic?
I know. Those guys they're people movers, though. I don't want you to get it mixed up with what I'm saying.
Even, Vera-Tucker and Slater.
They are. They definitely are. They are people, movers and things like that. I worry about them being the big, gigantic human beings of stopping JPP coming off the edge at 280 pounds and running 4.6.
Pete says people stoppers. Are
people stoppers. That's maybe the better way to say it. Right? I should have used that.
Stop them?
Yes. That is the question.
Pete, can he have that now? Can he have that? Pete's giving that.
That's where the question is. And to me, when you talk about people stoppers, I thought Vera-Tucker, then Jenkins, then Slater, in that order for those type of guys. All right, where we talk again, Vera-Tucker and Slater were clearly the better athlete than Jenkins. Right. But, yeah, these are not your behemoth left tackles. I think more than anything, they'll most likely going to be guards in the NFL.
Okay.
But they're going to get tested out at tackle to see if they can do it and maybe make up for that lack of arm length.
And you still need 2 of them. You still need 2 guards. They might not be the high-value tackles. You still got to fill up your offensive line. And if you have a bad guard, that's pretty bad, too.
There's nothing on the offensive line that's not worth value at this point. Especially the versatility of all these defenses we see in football, the different size and shapes of each team's defensive linemen and all that.
And injuries we've seen,
you got to have the versatility. It's great point by you that is going to be looked at. Wait, if our left tackle got hurt, can we bump him out there and move somebody else in? Yeah, he's got that versatility. That'll add to the value of some of these guys.
All right, so he is number 4. We're getting into your top 3 now.
Yeah.
And number 3, we have some video of him.
Awesome.
We have some video that we can show on the podcast. Can't always do that. This is Alabama's Landon Dickerson. And we can show him doing this. This is all we can show him doing, Chris. We can't show him actually playing football. He's doing the Army crawl behind Mac Jones during pro day number 1. So I think this was the first pro day.
It was the first pro day.
And then second pro day, he's doing cartwheels in the background. So clearly another.
And no knee brace. It's off. He's healing.
He's healing. He's fine. And he's athletic. And so we have another athletic offensive lineman. And I can tell just by the cartwheels in the Army crawl.
He is athletic. Maybe one of the most fun watches in the whole draft. This is a Pro Bowl center. This is a center that he can come into the NFL right away and maybe be in the conversation for best center in football. That to me, and Landon Dickerson is special. He jumps out on film. There's nothing he can't do. Big tackle from LSU. So what? You're 350 pounds and lining up right over me. I'll stop you in your tracks. I'm going to snap this ball and get underneath your pads. You're not going anywhere, now it's a quicker guy. Okay, I'm going to move my feet and use my hands and punch you and do all that. Just unbelievable, explosive athlete, unbelievable body. A thick, powerful, guard-looking body. Great legs. Really, really athletic and explosive, Ahmed. You know, there's nothing he can't do from that standpoint. And when he is always looking to hit people and dominate people that way. I mean, he's certainly going to have some guard center, versatility there, but feet, speed, incredible upper body strength, which is really important for centers because, of course, a lot of times you're snapping the ball, right? And then right away, somebody's on you. So you're not going to always be able to get your leg drive or like big aggressive step off the ball, right, to push off. So you got to be able to like snap the ball, get your hands up in this position, and control people a little bit with your upper body to do that. That, to me, is where he was absolutely phenomenal that way. So I think he is one of the top O-linemen in the draft. I don't know where he falls now because of this
question,
ACL.
right? So you have him ranked 3rd.
I think he's a top 20 pick, really.
If you were a GM, would you feel comfortable? He tore his ACL in the SEC championship game. He came in, played a kneel-down snap, right, in the national championship game so he could be on the books for it. Obviously, well-liked guy. He's got a good sense of humor. So if you were a GM and your first 2 are off the board and it's coming up, you're mid-first round,
I would.
Coming off an ACL?
I know.
You'd still take it.
I think I would. It's just ACLs don't scare me anymore. It's just not that big of a deal. It's not a career changer. And okay, so what? Again, you got to balance your board and you're going to trust your medical people to know where this is at, right? And all of those type of things. But if like my medical person comes back to tell me, okay, hey, he might not be 100% week 1, but by week 5, he's going to be totally back to himself. Okay, that's good. All right. Now, is there somebody else there that's if he's clearly above the next guy you got ranked to?
Yeah.
Then I think you make that move as well. Now you got to question, okay, what if the medical does check out and you got a guy that's really close to him on your board that you also, then that's going to be a tough decision. But to me, this is a special center.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like a better looking Alex Mack, who of course was a stud and one of the best centers in football for a long, long time. Like a Corey Linsley that way, but I think better put together. No weakness to this game at all. And I wrote down my last line. I wrote, his film is pretty much perfect. I mean, it really is. And he's run NFL-type stuff. I can't imagine there being negatives other than just that medical stuff.
Did we show his measurables out there? I don't know, Chris.
Yeah,
if we saw where he ranks. Height, 6'6", 99th percentile.
That's big. That's tall for a center.
Weight is in the 98th percentile, 326 pounds. Arm length right in the middle, 53rd percentile. And hand size, 10 inches, 0.4, 91st percentile. So he's a big dude. He's a big dude. And one other potential negative for him is that what? He's a redshirt senior.
Yeah, he's older.
And so, yeah, he's older, right? And so it's like you can maybe dominate 20-year-olds in a way that you can't dominate NFL players.
Yeah, sure. There's definitely something to that. There's no doubt. But I don't think it's not a big negative. It's definitely not. I don't think it's one where it's going to like hurt his value as far as the draft is concerned or anything like. He got to play in the SEC for Alabama and all those good defensive linemen he played against, and he almost never got beat on any play in the history of his career. So that to me just kind of says it all. When you can block SEC D linemen all year long, every game, you're special.
So he is number 3, Landon Dickerson for Alabama, coming off an ACL. Hopefully he gets healthy. Taken in the first round. Your number 2 offensive lineman in this draft class went to Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Got a great name. Got a great name for an offensive lineman. Christian Darrisaw.
Darrisaw. I'll Darrisaw your head off if you come at me. I love Christian Darrisaw. To me, this is the guy where I wasn't going to sleep on. Like, this is what I'm talking about with the tackle, where it's like, okay, his feet aren't as good as Slater's or Vera-Tucker's, all right, but they're not much less than, okay?
So he's here because of what Tristan Wirfs did last year.
Tristan Wirfs and other guys I've messed up on years past, whether I didn't have Trent Brown ranked high enough, Orlando Brown Jr., those guys, off. This guy's plenty athletic enough, and he's an absolute monster human being, all right? This is a 320-plus human being. This is arm lengths, I think it's 34.5. That's like the top tackles in football have that type of arm length. That's special that way. But at the end of the day, yes, this is the best pure pass protector in the draft. There's nobody better than Christian Darrisaw. I have no questions about him in any aspect at all. If he got beat or did something wrong in a game, it was more of mechanics or he didn't pass it off with the left guard the same way. I never came away from any play going, well, man, his feet are just, it's too slow, or, oh, he's just not strong enough. He's a little weak here in this game, this matchup. No, absolutely not. Between the arm length, between the ability, again, the anchor is the best in the draft. I mean, he reminds me of Dwayne Brown, who oddly enough came from Virginia Tech, and I had forgot about that because I wrote this down, before. But I think that's what I love, and I think really has the potential to be the best pure power blocker in the run game to go along with that. He's got more snaps of big guy in front of him, set hut, I'm coming off the ball, and I'm going to knock you back and just road grade you than just about anybody.
They ran the ball a lot at Virginia Tech.
That's where I really love it. And again, like I said, the technique's not perfect, but it's not to where it's like, oh, wow, this is a concern or anything like that. I think there's room to grow with this player. And like I said, I just don't think there's any aspect of his game that doesn't translate. I think he is an NFL big-time starting left tackle.
Pro Football Focus said he did not allow a sack or a quarterback hit all season. NFL.com, quote, jaw-dropping cutoffs on the backside. So effusive praise for
That's good to hear.
Darrisaw. So they are in agreement with you. One of the knocks on him was that he's almost too smooth. It's like, do you see that scrap? Does he ever get nonchalant out there?
A little bit.
Did you see that on the tape?
It can happen in the run game at times where you just go, don't just lean on the guy. Like, yeah, you're getting the block done, but dominate him. You've been dominating him, or you're capable of dominating him every play.
Yeah.
Don't just like, hey, I sealed him off. He won't make the tackle. Yeah, there's a few of those.
Maybe he felt bad for the guy.
I got a line here. I just wrote run game. He gets it done, doesn't always dominate in the run game, but he never loses a battle. And to me, that's what I'm big on too. Like, your losses have to be stalemates to be in this list here. That all. But, again, the ability to anchor, stop the power pass rush, absorb blows, and stop it in its tracks are really good. And I don't even think he's really learned how to use his upper body totally yet, maybe even as good as some of these other guys, but it's all there. And that's where I just really like him. I think he's a naturally really big man. He is a really good athlete. He's not a super athlete like Sewell or Slater, but it's just a little less than. And I think he makes up for, that aspect with, again, his length and just size as a human being.
He went to high school in Maryland. Virginia Tech was his only offer from a Power 5 school.
That's crazy.
So that's pretty cool.
Crazy.
So here's a question from CJ Easterday, who we've had on the show before. In fact, he's on the show almost every week.
He's coming in every
week.
week.
A recurring guest.
Big fan of the show.
There have been rumors, he says, that Washington is interested in Christian Darrisaw, a hometown kid, at number 19. Would that be a pick that makes sense to you? Clearly, you think he should be gone before then.
I do. I mean, that's and again, I'm interested to see with these O-linemen because, like we talked about, there's a lot of good ones in the draft. I do think this group stands alone as far as putting the physical, the technique, clean film, all of that together. Where we got other guys down the line where I go, oh, he's got some really elite traits and I like it, but damn, there's a few plays in every game where he whiffs on people or takes the wrong step and you don't trust that. But yeah, at night, I honestly look at this guy and think he could be gone before that, really. I really do. To me, once you start getting into that 8 Carolina Panthers conversation where they need a tackle, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be mad if they went Darrisaw right there. I definitely wouldn't.
Or they could have available to them your number 1 offensive lineman at number 8.
Yeah.
Which is certainly possible. If quarterbacks go like 1 through 7, like it's trending right now. Your number 1 offensive lineman in the 2021 NFL draft class is
Penei Sewell?
Penei Sewell.
Penei Sewell. I mean, wow. Really rare to see a guy that big that can move the way Penei Sewell can. I mean, it really is. It's one of those where you see him on film and you go, wait, is he really that big? I don't know if is he really moving like that and he's 326 or 325? That's the first thing that you just jumps out to you. I mean, it is quick movements. It is violent. It's attacking. It is from all that stuff. It's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, on screenplays, getting to the second level. I mean, I wrote moves like an offensive tackle who's 300 pounds. I mean, that's what he looks like. Great pop coming off the ball. Aggressive run blocker, run or pass. You know, and again, I loved in the pass game too how, you know, he kind of cut the distance a lot of time. He wasn't going to sit there and like, oh, you go ahead, get all your momentum so you can crush me.
Right.
I'm a really good athlete. I'm going to get out there and kind of attack you and stop you right here and do it from there. Right? There was a lot of that. And I think that's what, you know, I really love. You know, his arms look really long on film. I don't think they measured as long as I thought they looked, but I just think between his punch, you know, the way he initiates contact, his upper body strength, you know, again, in those stalemates where you got to, okay, I got to get this guy off me or push him to the ground. He was phenomenal that way. And then the run game is insane. I mean, the run game is, you know, angles, can pull, second level, can just flat out dominate you, you know, can cut you off as far as just like, oh, wait, I got to get out there and not let that guy get the screen, get our running back in the screen. Let me run out there and just, you know, set a moving pick. You know, reach blocks, all of that are just absolutely through the roof. I just have a hard time thinking the Bengals at 5 aren't going to take this guy.
Really?
I do. I have a hard time. You know, with as much as Joe Burrow got hit last year and everything like that, I would think that there's going to be a lot of interest in this guy there.
You would take him over a guy like Jamar Chase, like a wide receiver. The reunion of the LSU guys.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
It is a tough one.
But we
you know,
saw how
what they got to
important-
balance is both of those positions we talk about have more depth. Who will be there at the top of round 2? You know, are you going to be comfortable with the receiver you might get there at that part or that tackle?
Yeah.
You know, to me, you're taking a little risk with the tackle thing there of maybe not getting a guy that's ready to go right away. But I hear you. I'm very interested to see what they'll do to that pick. Now, I know a head coach was at that pro day the other day. Zach Taylor was there with some people to watch Sewell. But I would think that he is the top lineman in the draft for a lot of people.
So he has 3 brothers that play football. A couple of his uncles played football. In 2019, Pro Football Focus had him as the best graded season for an offensive tackle in their history. And I've heard this thrown around, and we're almost getting to the point where it's overused, the generational talent thing. It's like we heard that about Trevor Lawrence, right? Generational. You can't have a generational talent every year. That's just not how generations work.
Yeah.
It's normally like 20 years.
Right.
But is Penei Sewell approaching that for you? Is he?
I can't remember one this big that can move this way. I guess that's where I'm just a little bit, and not that I've been doing this forever, but it was hard as I thought about pro player comparisons because I kept thinking of guys. I was like, at first I wrote, the way he moves reminds me of Teron Armstead. But Teron Armstead's like 300 pounds with really long arms. And he kind of keeps, you know, Sewell keeps his back real straight and his body and base and legs are always in a good position. And he keeps a wide base and he's very arms and gets right on you and attacks you that way and always has his feet and body underneath him the right way. I came away writing like, you know, Andrew Whitworth, who, of course, is a phenomenal left tackle for a really, really long time, Bengals and Rams. That's the guy who I kind of went with. But he's significantly more athletic than Whitworth was coming out of LSU back in the day.
Interesting.
So that's where I don't know. But it's pretty special. I would have a hard time thinking this guy doesn't succeed at a really high level, you know, in the NFL. Again, the only thing I'll say at all is, you know, Pac-12, you know, anchor. Again, I wish I get to see a few more snaps of him on an island with a guy coming off the edge. You see some of it, but just not as much as I would have liked to have seen to just go, okay, it's amazing. But either way, I mean, that's being really nitpicky there. Everything else is awesome.
I don't know if you brought this up. Sorry if you did.
Yeah.
Grant Johnson 5 said, speaking of the competition in the Pac-12, did you watch the Penei Sewell film in 2019 when he went up against Derek Brown? That film debunk the weak Pac-12 competition theory with him?
Well, yeah. Listen, you know, again, there's plenty of good D linemen in the Pac-12. I mean, really, when you start to get down to it, it's, you know, maybe it's second after the SEC. It's certainly not the Big 12. It might have more than the ACC when you really get through it all. So there's plenty of talent there to look at it that way. You do get to see some snaps. It's not a lot because Derek Brown's a defensive tackle, right? So it wasn't a lot at him on Sewell. But what you did get to see in that game, too, was Marlon Davidson, who's a second-rounder for the Atlanta Falcons last year. You got to see him go against him. And Davidson was a big defensive end. I mean, I want to say he was around 290-something pounds as a defense end. And he certainly was capable of holding his own in that matchup. That made me feel good. There's no doubt about that. But it's a college offense. You know, again, and it's just amazing how you can go through games and go, damn, he just never has to really pass protect.
Sure.
But pretty awesome.
He is young still. He is 20 years old, does not turn 21 until October. So still room
tough
to grow
attitude,
there,
athlete. He's going to get bigger and stronger.
Yep.
I think you got to take those things into account. This to me would be the slam dunk first lineman off the board.
You didn't rock the world there. I thought you were going to have him like 5, but that's okay. All right, we'll take it. Penei Sewell is your number 1 offensive lineman in the 2021 NFL Draft, and that was the prospect rundown presented by Applebee's.
Feeling good in the neighborhood.
Feeling good in the neighborhood. So a couple of questions on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Lisa 39 says, with the Colts needing a new starting left tackle, who do you think fits them best at pick number 21? Colts-specific question here.
Yeah.
That'd be a good – you talk about good situations to go into for an offensive lineman, probably similar to any position, but like quarterback, right? If you got a good team around you, and you got a good crew around you, that makes your life a whole lot easier. Right?
I mean, they're not desperate for anything. I mean, of course, I think left tackle is probably the one thing you do look at because of, Costanzo retiring and all that. Any of the guys we talked about, again – it's going to be about Chris Ballard and how he evaluates it. But as you heard me say here today, I mean, Darrisaw and Sewell were the slam dunk left tackles to me. The other guys, I like I told you, I got some questions about that. But either way, Ballard is one of the best GMs out there. And, left tackle, okay, maybe they get one of those guys that could be the guard opposite of Quentin Nelson. That could be another spot they could fill there. They're good there, not great there. But, any of them. And really, there's going to probably be some guys in the second round where you can look at and go, wait, they can get this guy and maybe have Sam Teven play left tackle for them until he gets up to speed or for the year or whatever it may be. There should be options, though.
We're going to get to your honorable mentions, and we'll finish off with just a couple more names. But another question here, and you kind of got into this with Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Big Cat is a bully. Says, which is more influential to the improvement of a quarterback? Protecting him with a good offensive line and giving him average receivers, or giving him great receivers and an average offensive line? If you had your druthers.
If I had my druthers, I'd rather have the average receivers with the great offensive line. If you gave me either one.
Nothing matters if you can't protect your quarterback.
It really doesn't. And, of course, when you have a good offensive line and doing that, of course, the run game comes into, effect and all of that. So now play action's more effective to help those receivers get open and do all those type of stuff. So, yes, if you make me choose there, I am going to go with that. There's just, again, with the way the rules are set up for NFL defenses and they, can't touch people downfield and doing all that. And, of course, the offense has become so creative. You can find ways to get receivers and people open. Not that it's going to be special after the catch or maybe special plays before the catch.
Right.
But you certainly can find ways to get people open.
Which kind of makes what Justin Herbert did last year even more impressive. I was looking at PFF's offensive line rankings. They had the Chargers.
They were bad,
last.
right? Yeah.
So he was able to excel with not even, I guess Keenan Allen's a top-tier receiver, but outside of that.
Yeah, Mike Williams was hurt a little bit, and they got some young guys coming up the ranks. But, yeah, I would think they're in the market for an offensive lineman maybe here in the first round of this draft.
All right, so real quick, let's try to get through some of these quickly because we're already pushing 120, 130, and we have to do Chris and Ahmed look at pictures.
Okay, good.
Pete's settling me down right now. He's like, no, we don't need to rush through.
Yeah,
this
we're
whole
good.
thing.
Shut your mouth.
Jackson Carman for Clemson.
Yeah.
He's one of your honorable mentions. Alex Leatherwood, Alabama.
Yeah.
Aaron Banks, Notre Dame, and then Walker Little, who you talked about at the top of it, who hasn't played much in the last 2 seasons, but was the number 1 recruit coming out of high school.
All right.
At Stanford.
Yeah. I mean, he's again. he's so good and such a slam dunk of a left tackle. I don't know. He might be a first-round left tackle, even though he hasn't played in 2 years.
If he
might
can show you have a workout, and you're like, I think he's healthy. He's good to go.
Then I would probably take him. And as long as I got info that the guy's a smart kid and willing to work and do all, and then I'd be like, okay, let's take him in the first round because he's a franchise left tackle. So that to me is one of the intriguing parts of this position. I almost said that with the Colts at 21. Like, would Ballard take a shot on that guy and just go? Well, I talked to his coaches at Stanford. They love him. They think he's a great worker. And I see the guys he works out with and all that. Okay. And then I watch the film and, okay, yeah, I'm going to take him at 21.
He could be the steal of the draft.
He could be.
Or you might get nothing from your first-round pick.
Yeah, you're right. You don't know. But that's why they make the big bucks.
Yep.
Now, let's go to another guy who was disappointing but has great potential, like Alex Leatherwood of Alabama.
Yeah.
Last year, when I was watching not Wirfs, Wills, right?
Yeah.
From Alabama. Like, it was one of those things when you turned on the film, you were like, wait, who's the guy I'm watching here? Wait, it's this number. Oh, wait, it's not 70? 70 is amazing. He's not coming out in the draft? I mean, he was like, to the point where you were like, wait, which one is the first top 10 pick? I don't even know. It's disappointing.
Oh, what happened?
He's got all the potential and tools and everything like that. There's just so many plays of stop your feet, try to grab him with your arms or lock out your arms or lean on the guy and then let the guy go around the edge or beat you around the edge. There's so many of those. It's hard to wipe them away and just go, well, okay, yeah, he could fix that. It's not, it happened to it at such a rate to where you just go, damn, I'm concerned. I don't know what else to say. Mm-hmm. But he has big time high-end potential. One, I'd say really, as far as just mano-y-mano, I got to block the guy in front of me in the run game. There's nobody better in the draft. If you ask me one guy to take, I'm taking him. If it's just one block, he's got to move his guy backwards, I'm taking Alex Leatherwood. But it's that question. He has an incredible, length at the arms, all that. The body is like perfect. Great legs, thickness, got it all. But he was in this bad habit of wide base and then reaching with his hands and arms all year. And then he would stop his feet and let people go around him. So that is the big concern there. But like, he could be a guy that, I ended up writing like somewhere between 40 and 70, or somebody could get a steal later in the draft.
Right.
If he could kind of put it back all together.
Couple Notre Dame guys. I mentioned Aaron Banks. Also got a question about Liam Eichenberg. Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
From
Liam
Certain
Eichenberg,
Lax.
yeah.
With how deep this tackle class is, do you think Liam Eichenberg is a plug-and-play starter? So you watched the pro day for Notre Dame.
Right.
What did you think of those guys?
Well, I like Liam. I mean, here's the beauty of Notre Dame, Liam Eichenberg, all that. They're NFL ready. They've been taught like pros. They get asked to do more like we talk about with these college-y offenses. You're not going to see that at Notre Dame. They do it all. Pulls, traps, pocket passing, play action passing, all of that. So you're getting an NFL-ready product. I think that's the big thing. Eichenberg's really good. He's a good athlete. He's an aggressive run blocker. The big thing with Eichenberg is a little bit like we said with all these guys. He's 305 pounds. He's 6'6". Is that a big enough, strong enough, brutal enough man to play tackle in the NFL? I don't think so. I think ultimately he's going to be a guard in the NFL. I think that's where he'll fit. But you're getting an NFL-ready one from day one. I think Eichenberg he can go anywhere from the middle of the second to the middle of the third. I wouldn't be shocked. I would think a team like, we saw Mike Tomlin at his workout. Frank Reich was there. I'm sure they were looking at him going, wait, do we think he could play left tackle? Again, anchor and power are the issues. And not that they're bad. It's just I don't know if that's good enough to play left tackle in the NFL. But like with Tomlin, I think he's probably there going, wait, I got Big Ben. We need to win this year.
Yeah.
I need a guy that can play this year. We can't wait for 2 years down the road and all that. So I could see that interest there. But I think ultimately he's a second round, maybe early third offensive lineman.
Jackson Carman, Clemson.
Man, Jackson Carman. Another, freak show. Freak show. Jackson Carman does things where you go, this is the best in the draft. Like, this is elite. It's elite size, elite athleticism, elite length. you know, but can be over aggressive. Doesn't recognize stunts all the time. There's just a few too many mess ups on the film. But he's 6'5", 335, and it's not like sloppy. It's big, put together man, right? He's got unreal strength. And, you know, he looks like one of those guys, like, again, you watch the Ohio State game, they got some good pass rushers there. They can't sniff the quarterback with him blocking. He was on his game that day. You know, because, hey, of course, he had a whole month to prepare for it. Everybody's telling him that. But during the year, yeah, there's moments of being inconsistent and all of that. But he could be the guy where, you know, 6'5", 335, I would not be shocked. You know, again, it's raw, so I don't think you could take him in the first round. But could he be the Trent Brown in a few years from now where we go, this might be one of the better right tackles in football? Sure. Could this be like, you know, Brandon Brooks, the big right guard for the Philadelphia Eagles, who's been one of the best guards in football? He could be that kind of guy. He has some really, really special things about his game. He's just got to learn technique and how to evaluate what's coming on blitzes and stunts and things like that. Yeah. Which, if he can check out that aspect of him when you meet him, then you're going to really like this guy.
Some of the knocks on him is that he had miscommunications with his teammates. You mentioned that as well. But coming out of high school, he played in the Army All-American game. He was the #2 tackle prospect in the nation coming out of high school in Ohio, and he declined to go to Ohio State. Whoa. So I bump him up.
How is
my
he?
List there.
He goes up on your list?
He goes up a little bit, well, being a Michigan guy.
You know, I wanted to say one thing to you. Okay, I mean, because he has first-round traits and has a chance to be a special. But like when we talked about the recognition thing and all that, right? Here's one thing, too, where you got to be careful to evaluate.
Sure.
And he's going to have some plays on film where you're going to go, that doesn't look good, right? They could be in man blocking. Let's just say you're the guard, right? And let's face forward like we're going that way. Okay. You're the guard, I'm the tackle. Okay. You got a guy in front of you, I got a guy in front of me, right? They will literally, your guy now runs
goes
at me,
to you.
Right? Yeah. They ask their tackle a lot of times, still block your guy as he goes that way. So now you run into my shoulder. This guy's running into my shoulder. Yeah. You're sitting there just waiting for him to come off. You're doing nothing.
And I'm looking at you being like, dude, what
and
are you doing?
They're expecting Jackson Carman to just take that hit and still shuffle and stop that guy a little bit. So again, that's where you got to be worried about. You got to take it into account
They're asking him to do too much.
Right.
Or something that's very
difficult. It's not
difficult.
realistic to think you can be successful that way. We can get you know, Trent Williams from the 49ers. He's going to have issues with that.
Yeah. And PFF looks at that and they might go, oh, it's a bad
It could be grades,
play.
Right.
Negative play.
Now listen, there's other negative plays that go along with it, but that's what I'm talking about, where you got to be careful of what you're seeing and evaluating before you judge too harshly.
Last three.
Yeah.
3 names. Jalen, Mayfield of Michigan, Samuel Cosmi of Texas, and Rasheed Walker of Penn State. Wolves Dan once says Rasheed Walker from Penn State seems to be a guy that no one's talking about. He continuously beat up on your boy Quiddy. What am I missing?
It's just he's right about a lot of things. Rasheed Walker, again, another one of these guys where you go, man, there's some elite aspects of his game. I mean, he is a high-level athlete as far as the way he can move, run, get to the second level, do all that. But there's just, it's too all over the place. Yeah, okay, he gave Kwity Paye some issues. I can also go, well, I saw some other guys who were not even going to have a cup of tea in the NFL, and they gave him lots of issues. So that's where it's like, where does it meet in the middle for the player? You know, and that's where it comes down to, again, he's got NFL starting probably guard. He's probably a guard in the NFL, like, you know, makeup. But again, like I said, it's just all over the place. The technique, the wrong steps. Oh, I'm going, you know, I stepped this way and the guy went right, you know, in between me for a tackle for a 5-yard loss. Or I stepped this way and now the guy's gone around me. Or I'm playing basketball defense instead of being like a real pass protector. And he's like just moving his feet like he's like a running back making cuts through a bag. You know, I think those are the things that our buddy's missing. But there's some potential there, that's for sure. Jalen Mayfield, another guy, you know, again, technique issues not as much here. He goes back to the Liam Eichenberg school of thought here. Just, it's a long, athletic guy, not necessarily long in the arms, but tall, 6'6", 6'5", all of that stuff. but there's just not enough brute strength and power. The anchor is an issue with him. There's no way he could play tackle in the NFL. He's got to play guard, in my opinion. And to me, I mean, again, Mayfield's a second-round type offensive lineman for me, somewhere in that range. But I think it's just the pure power, strength of the man that takes him out of that first-round offensive tackle conversation for me.
And the guy from Texas, last one?
Yeah, he's the same. It's the same type of thing. It's the same. There's all the same kind of guy. You know, we could even get to Brady Christensen from BYU. That's where I talk about. These are guys that, you know, it could be second, third, fourth round, and they could be starting in the NFL next year as long as they can kind of like just clean up a few things in their game. But yeah, it's just, again, even in the Big 12, there's too many moments of him missing blocks, getting pushed back, those type of things to where you go, well, you're going to be facing a different animal in the NFL. So I really like the group. And it's the guys we're talking about as far as mid-round picks or second and third round picks, got a lot of things to really like about it. They're just not as perfect as, you know, those top 6 guys.
And the one on top of the heap is generational talent, Penei Sewell.
Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell.
We got to get you out of here because you have to look at defensive tackles.
All right, don't worry about it. I'm good. I got I'm feeling good where I'm at.
Kristen, can we go one more hour? No, she says we can't go. We can't do that.
Dear God. She said, dear God, no.
All right, no, we'll cut it there. If there are some questions about offensive tackle, we have the homies send them in. We are always happy to answer those. We do have some about edge and cornerbacks that we'll get to some other time.
Okay, good.
So maybe we'll have to do a whole pod on reactions to a bunch of different positions for you. So Pete's already formulating that Google document as we speak. Well done.
You good?
That's it.
I feel like I talked a lot today. Like you didn't get much words in, and it just was a lot of O-lineman talk.
I know. I'll go home and just talk to a wall or something like that just to get them out.
Good.
No, but you looked at literally probably what, 30 linemen, maybe more?
I would say probably more than 30, yeah. I'd probably say it's somewhere between 30 and 40 altogether.
We need to get that information out. It's in your head. It needs to come out.
It might as well get out.
Me talking be damned, all right?
All right, fine. The hell with you. Shut up, all right? We're done with the podcast. That's it. Chris Sims, Ahmed Fareed. Yep. We're out of here. We'll be back later this week. I don't know. We might take tomorrow and do the defensive tackle rankings. Might be Thursday, so be on the lookout for that. We got some things we got to work out here at NBC. I got a pretty good feel. I think I know who my top 5 D tackles are. There's just about 5 or 6 guys more that I want to watch before I, not nail that down. But everybody be good. Please continue to interact. Feel free to ask Ahmed questions, too, and make fun of him on anything you see fit. And we'll see you later in the week. Peace out. Be good. Clap it up. Almost forgot. Yo, what's up? Come on, man. Subscribe on YouTube to Chris Sims Unbuttoned Podcast. I need you. Please hit the subscribe button, please.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.